I think we can all agree finances is one of the most intimidating parts of running a business. Even as a former Fortune 100 financial advisor with a business degree, I still get stumped from time to time on tax forms and the right way to do something when it comes to my business dollars. I know you've heard it before, so I won't beat this dead horse for too long, but according to many sources, about 8 out of every 10 businesses don't make it to 5 years, and most of those reasons are all financial. Misunderstanding of cost, emotional pricing, not planning for or saving for taxes, cash flow planning, that means like making sure there's enough money to cover all the bills, especially if you're a seasonal business, and not having a proven business model, which just means the whole build it and they will come isn't really true. We need to think about market fit, pricing, solving needs to ensure when we start a business, it will actually flip. While I believe there are a few essential numbers every business owner needs to know and understand, I don't believe you need to go get a finance degree in order to run a profitable business. Maybe that just made us best friends. I hope so. Since starting my company, I've worked with thousands of business owners across the world in hundreds of industries, from cake design to virtual assisting, photography to real estate. And these 5 numbers to know ring true for every one of you. So today I thought I would be helpful if I bust the myth that you have to love math to be great at money and tell you the 5 most important numbers I know and track in my business every single year. I'm going to share with you what those numbers are, how I track them, and why these numbers are the most important. This video is definitely one you're going to want to bookmark and come back to on those days when money has you wanting to pull your hair out. And of course, download the free Numbers to Know guide to go along with this video. Okay, so let's get to it. The 5 most important numbers to know and track in your business. Number 1 is total sales. This is also known as revenue. This is the total amount of dollars you brought into your business in the past year from all income streams. That can mean services, products, passive income. Think of this as the dollars in. Now you don't not have to have a fancy bookkeeping system to track all these dollars. While that will make it a lot easier to know this number quickly and easily, I've had clients in the past literally pull out their planner for the year and review all the clients they booked. You can even write on a scratch piece of paper every client and the amount they booked with you. Of course, all my product-based companies or anyone who serves more than 30 to 40 clients a year, this would be tedious and very cumbersome. But many online shop softwares can pull these reports for you and very easily. The second number to know is total expenses. This has been called by many names, also job costs, cost of goods sold, overhead, probably the one you're most familiar with. But think of expenses as the dollars out in your business. This goes to pay to actually produce your goods or services, so material costs, job labor, shipping fees, as well as general operating costs, rent, employee wages, software fees, professional development. If you're like most entrepreneurs I meet, you find yourself sometime around April 15th digging up old receipts, trying to get as many of those write-offs as you can come tax time. But despite popular belief, understanding where your money is going is not just important for filing those taxes. It tells you a lot about your business. If you're spending too much on each project, that means your price either needs to go up or your costs need to go down to produce a profit. That's essential to know when pricing your goods and services. Now again, a fancy bookkeeping software is going to be the easiest way to pull records quickly and see that profit and loss statement month to month. This is a report I look at every single month during my money day. I'll link more on that below so you can tell exactly how I run my money day. But you can do this simply by printing off your bank statements and getting a highlighter. Little tip here, make sure you have a separate bank account for your business. This will make a huge difference in finding what you're spending and what's coming in your business and a lot faster. The third number to know is profit. I lovingly refer to this number as the leftover. It's a simple math problem really. Total sales minus total expenses equals profit. Profit can also be called by many names, but don't get too bogged down in the details. You just want to know how much money does your company have left over after running it. The IRS is also looking at this number at tax time to determine if and how much income tax you'll owe from the business. I see a lot of creative entrepreneurs these days talking about 6- and 7-figure businesses, throwing around a lot of fancy sounding jargon, but I don't want you to get duped here. There is a difference between 6 figures of revenue or sales and 6 figures of profit. At the end of the day, I want my company to be profitable, and I think you do too. This is the number that matters to me. There are some years that revenue goes up and some that goes down, but At the end of the day, I want to make sure we're making a profit. That fourth number to note is the average sale per client or by product. As a service-based professional, this shows you what you're making on average per client. For instance, if you're a wedding photographer and you bring in $100,000 in sales for 20 clients, that means you're making about $5,000 on average per client. You can find this number by dividing total sales for the year divided by the number of clients you served that year. Of course, you might have had some clients pay $7,500 and others pay $4,000, but it's really good to know the average. But a little word of caution here. Averages are skewed by outliers. I'm taking you back to middle school math here. If you had one big $20,000 event and the rest were $2,000, it's important to also calculate the average per client without that outlier. And just like everybody's talking about 6 figures or 7-figure businesses, anyone who's boasting about that client average, make sure they're not including those outliers. That makes a big difference. Now, for my product-based professionals and online shops, I look at this number based on products offered or by launches or by month. Let me give you an example. I own an education site. I currently offer 3 online products: the Blueprint Model, Blueprint at Home, which is my personal finance course, and my Blueprint Year, which is our annual planning course. I look at each of those products separately, how much money they brought in for the year, divide that by our total sales, so I know what percentage each of those products is bringing in overall for the year. Now, for some of you, you launch collections, especially for artists. I see a lot of collections released like 2 to 4 times a year. These are like your launches. So I would calculate this, how much you're making, how much each launch brought in, divided by the total sales for the year to see what percentage of total sales each launch brought in. And then last, for online shops or brick and mortar, I would actually look at this number by month, look at what averages you're bringing in month to month, and then your highest months for sales. If you're wondering how to calculate all these numbers, and this is a really brief overview, I go really into depth in this in my signature program, the Blueprint Model. I'll teach you exactly how to look at these numbers, how to calculate each one. You get tutorials and videos, and I'm really passionate about helping you understand your money so that you can be a smarter, more strategic business owner. Okay, the last number to know, last but definitely not least, is how much you paid yourself. Many entrepreneurs I work with go years without paying themselves a steady paycheck or at all. There's so many reasons why they don't pay themselves: fear, not really understanding their money, not having enough money, etc. Whatever the reason is, paying yourself shouldn't be a luxury. It is a requirement. Just like overhead and product costs, paying yourself is a sign of health in your company, and I want you to know how you can pay yourself with confidence. These numbers are super important. It's really important to analyze them to work smarter, not harder. So I want to show you how I use these numbers also to analyze what I'm looking at. They're important for more than just tax time. So for total sales, I look at the increase or decrease over year. It may surprise you to know that I don't actually look at the revenue increasing every year as a sign of health. There are some years, especially for those of you having babies, that revenue just isn't going to go up. And that's okay, you might be taking a lot more time off. Again, inside my business program, the Blueprint Model, I teach students how to analyze these numbers to put their energy where it matters. Because most entrepreneurs, let's face it, are humans and we're busy, busy, busy. We have to learn to be professional sifters, I call it, and put our energy where it counts. So I like to know where all the money is coming in and see which products are the most profitable. As far as expenses go, I like to see the profitability of each of my products and services, as well as where all my business funds are being reinvested. I want to make sure that my employee salaries, rent spending, professional development are in line with my revenue and I'm not overspending in any one area. You can find a lot of recommendations online as to what percentage of revenue you should be spending on advertising, rent, etc. You can just Google search it and I'm sure find a lot of things. If you want a little more touch points here, I teach this in depth in the Blueprint Model with exact recommendations on spending accounts for overhead categories and for your products and services. Now that last number is profit, and it's like balancing your checkbook. You always want to make sure you are ending with a positive number, not a negative one. As well as client averages. These are important. They actually tell me the increase over time, if I'm working with bigger budget clients, if my products are growing. And for all those product-based professionals, I like to see fewer products bringing in more revenue, or how you can kind of cut your product line if you're feeling like you don't have enough time or energy to put towards all of them, or feeling a little overwhelmed. It's really helpful to look at that. Okay, so we could go into a lot more detail on these numbers, but I hope this gets you started and looking at the numbers I analyze, what I track, and why. Because here's the deal, you don't have to be an accountant or understand the IRS handbook, but as a business owner, knowing and understanding your numbers is essential to working smarter, not harder. I have no doubt, even as a non-money person, you have the ability to understand the few essential numbers you need to know to run a profitable company. I'm super passionate about teaching that. So if you found this video helpful, will you like it below? Leave us a comment and let us know. We work really hard to provide relevant content to you, and also make sure you subscribe so you'll be notified when all the new content drops. Also, if you're struggling to make money doing what you love without working yourself into the ground, knowing these numbers will help you, I promise. That's what I teach in the Blueprint model, and I would love for you to join me in our next round.